very well known. Oh, okay. And most importantly, very good friends. They're coincidentally Venezuelans just as well as I am. I'd like to thank especially, because I'm very happy to see part of my family here, which is very rare to see you all together. My sister that came from Venezuela, my daughter who lives here, and my husband came with me from Europe. So thank you very much for being here. I'm especially very pleased and happy. Plus many friends, old friends, that I haven't seen for a long time, and I really, really appreciate you being here. Your family is also here, you can see that. What I love most about participating in this panel is that although I thought I knew Ella Cisneros, Milagros Maldonado, and Solita Cohen for so many years, in fact, I knew very little about them. Aside from admiring them as great collectors, and we were going to talk about that, and they're great philanthropists. That's what I really wanted to learn mostly about, because I know about your collecting practices. I've seen your work on your walls and in your foundations, but the collecting practice, the philanthropic nature of your collecting is also very important. And so we're going to talk a lot about that, about your ambitions, your projects. We are also going to ask you to talk to us about all your endeavors. I don't know if you can hear me well. I hear so there's a pause. So Diego asked me to interview these three very important collectors. And I mention this because in the next to last chapter of my book, I wrote about a common denominator that I found in the 110 collectors that I interviewed. And that common denominator was the way they share their collectings. And the chapter is called Sharing is Caring. Or Sharing is Caring, exactly. And it is dedicated to the extraordinary commitment that unites most collectors when a great part of their passions is contributing and giving back to society for the privilege of being of this great art, in this great art universe. These three formidable ladies and forces of nature have not only created unique and personal collections, but have created charitable foundations where they share their art, their collecting, their knowledge, their time and energy, their passion with the world, and today, fortunately, they're sharing it with us. I love it that my three great Venezuelan friends have given so much to the world, and especially to Miami, a city I feel very close to my heart, and where I lived for the first 7 years of my life, and where my daughter lives with her family, her husband, and her 3 children. I will make, after this, a short presentation of each of you, Ella, Milagros, and Solita, and followed by a chance of asking you, the public, to ask all the questions you want to this formidable group of collectors. I'm going to begin with Ella Fontana, who's at my right. Ella was born in Cuba. She traveled to Venezuela very young. She might have been 15, 16, 17, and that's more or less the time when we met. She was already at that age a very enterprising young woman. I remember that she was one of the first people to create or to build or to open a gallery in Venezuela that was dedicated to contemporary art, to modern art, and especially with an emphasis on Latin America. Ella has always been a visionary as well as a generous philanthropist. She first created a foundation called the Together Foundation in Venezuela to improve the lives of children and providing them with health, nutrition, education, And after that, she created the Together Foundation in the United States, which was an early advocate for the use of information technologies to share information on environmental needs and to promote international unity in environmental projects. Ella created also CIFO in foundation in Miami in 2002. And this foundation was created to promote the appreciation and to foster understanding of contemporary artists from Latin America through grants, exhibitions, and commissions. In 2003, she expands her efforts in bringing international art and creates MAC. MAC is Miami Art Central. Ella has been honored with many awards for her philanthropic efforts, and in Miami, she was named one of Miami's 30 legends. Ella, I'm going to ask you first. After Ella, I'm going to be talking to Milagros and Solita, but first I'm going to ask you, could you please share with us how you became a collector? What was your goal in your collection? Share with us your experiences, your anecdotes, advice to new collectors, and how you began.
I think it all began when I was very young. I wanted to be an artist, so I went to school to try to be a painter, a drawer. I love drawing, but then my life changed. We went to Venezuela after the revolution came to Cuba, and my life totally changed. When I was very young, you already said it, I was 21. I opened that gallery, Sanssouci, in Venezuela, in Caracas, and I was very interested then into Latin American mostly, Venezuelan art and Latin American. I stayed with the foundation, with the gallery 3 years, and then afterwards I got married, started traveling all through Latin America, and of course I was then exposed to many other things. So my idea of collecting was a slow, it wasn't like from one day to the other. It was a very slow pace, and I remember your uncle in New York in the 80s trying to teach me a lot about art and trying to mentor me. You know, it was very nice time when we went to, you know, the auctions, and also sharing with my other friend Milagros in Paris a lot, visiting all of the Latin American artists in Paris, and also going to the FIAC. I was just talking to Milagros about my first abstract painting, which, you know, we were at the FIAC one day, and I said, Milagros, I want to buy a Soto. And she says, Otto, you have to buy a Soto that is fantastic. And she took me there, and I was just thinking that I wanted to buy a Soto, you know, full of colors and things. And there we were in front of this 1961 Soto, all full of things, you know, that I couldn't understand, you know, wires, you know, going back and forth. And I said, Milagros, this is not what I want to, I was thinking of buying. She goes, this is what you need, this is what you want. And I did. And after that, I was just talking to Milagros, saying, how would that change my view of art in total? Because from there on, abstraction became one of my passions, you know, after that. And then I continued, you know, another pathway, totally different. In 1989, I stopped collecting because I was very much involved in philanthropic things in Venezuela. I had opened 2 foundations, and I thought that it was maybe too banal for me to continue collecting instead of dedicating my time to the people that most needed it. So for 7 years, I stopped collecting, and I just dedicated my time to philanthropy. I was involved with the United Nations, as you said, and the environmental movement here in the United States. And so I worked with children, and then after, in 1995, 96, I took the decision that I could do philanthropy also with the arts. That was my passion. So I went back and I started collecting again. And then I decided I wanted to expand my views, and we were now working in a global environment, and I started collecting and seeing the world in a different way and the artists in a different way. And I thought, well, maybe Latin American artists are not just Latin American art, they are part of this wonderful big world of artists that, that are all over the world, and that we need to be part of that world. And that's why in 2001, I opened the foundation here in Miami to try to bring attention to the art that we were doing in our areas. So for the last 18, 19 years, we've been giving prizes through the foundation to the emerging, mid-career, and 3 years ago we started with a special prize for artists that are very well known in their countries. But the idea was really not only the prize or the awards, was how to bring our artists out of their countries into the world. So we give them exhibition, we travel with them, and that's the way we think that we can expand the view on our area of Latin America. So this is what we do. We continue doing. We closed the space 2 years ago here because we really wanted to take the artists beyond the public here in Miami. We had not so many viewers or so many visitors here, and we wanted to take our award winners around the world. So the last 3 years, we've been having exhibitions in Lima, Peru, Sao Paulo, Rio, Quito, Cuenca, and this year our prizes went to New York. We are having an exhibition right now with the winners of this year at the El Museo del Barrio in New York. So
Milagros was born in Valencia, in Venezuela, and from a very young age she had a passion for art, almost since childhood. And her calling was so great that she went to Rome and graduated summa cum laude in art history at the Academy of Fine Arts in Rome. Today, performance art is mainstream. It's commonplace. We were just participating in one earlier. And last night, my daughter also had a few performances at home in her studio. But at the time when you started, in 1974, when Milagros was curating art performances in Rome, for the city of Rome, it was, I dare say, quite revolutionary. So she also was, at the same period of her life, coordinating exhibitions and installations for international artists, like artists that you obviously recognize: Andrew Pike, Joseph Beuys, Richard Serra, Francesco Clemente, Giannis Cunelis, Giulio Paolini, Francesco Clemente, Giannis Cunelis, Giulio Mario and Marisa Merz, Gilbert and George, soloists, and the list goes on. But when Milagros decided it was time to come home, she returned to Venezuela with all this knowledge, all this experience, and she became the assistant for the Minister of Culture in Venezuela. That added a lot to her curriculum, and in no time she became the director of fine arts of the museum, the right hand of the curator, of the director of the Fine Arts Museum in Caracas. After that, she realized that in her own family she could do a lot of good. And her father was the owner of the largest insurance company in Venezuela, called a Previsora. And there she created spaces dedicated to art, to promoting art. I think you consider yourself a promoter of art.
Promoter and an activist.
Exactly. So from 1997 to 2004, she opens a gallery in New York with a friend. And after 7 years, she gives that up to continue creating exhibitions for artists like Carlo Cruz, Leo Matisse, and others. Now, aside from being an avid collector during all those years, she continues to promote and develop and coordinate culture events around the world, but especially in Miami. In order to satisfy this need to always be associated with art and artists, she has created a foundation dedicated to education through art, where she can exhibit not only her collection, but other people's collections. And I know many friends of mine even consider her a great lady of art. But she sees herself, as I said before, promoter of art and artists, as well as a collector. Milagros, please talk to us about what art is for you, how it has transformed or affected your life, how did you begin your collection, and talk to us also about your biennial and your philanthropy.
I'm going to start by a saying of Simon Bolivar. My friend Beatrice Rangel says that Bolivar said so many things that he also contradicted himself, but in this case I'm going to refer to something related to my purpose in life. And what he says is that the most noble person that can occupy a man is to enlighten his fellow beings. So it is a two-way story. My personal enrichment through collecting and through diffusing art, and what I also can do for other people. The idea of Miami Biennale, and some people say to me, how come your name is Miami Biennale? You have never done a Biennale. And I say to them, you remember Martin Luther King? Do you remember what he says? I have a dream. Well, I have a dream for Miami, and the dream that I have for Miami is to have a real Biennale. How did I start? Well, I started when I was a little girl, and there was my grandfather that was already dead, but he was more alive than a lot of people in the house that we were living. And he had a fantastic library. So somehow he would point to me the books that I had to read. And that's how I started nurturing myself from this person that was somehow metaphysical. So I've always been very much interested in the metaphysical aspect of things, which means beyond the physical. So sometimes I think that to collect and to be involved with art is like a divine intention. Human beings have higher self and lower self. Well, creativity is related to our higher self, and it's related to the divine, and that's how I see it myself. I used to have an aunt that was the director of the museum of, not the museum, the Salon Arturo Michelena in Valencia, and we would go every year. The Salon still exists. It's not such a, after Chavez came to Venezuela, everything that is cultural went kind of underground, but at that time that was the most important salon, and it was for maybe 50 years the most important art salon in Venezuela. So my father had a prize there. My father was a cattleman and a lawyer, and later in life he became owner of this insurance company. But he had a prize, and the prize that he gave had to be related to things that were like maybe cows and landscape and that kind of thing that he was involved in. So one day they gave him the prize to a painting that has fishes in it. So he says, I don't want to give a prize to fishes. They have to be my kind of interest. So he retired the prize. But going to the Salon Arturo Michelena made me know profoundly the painting in Venezuela, the painters in Venezuela. I was totally fascinated. It was a relationship that had never stopped. When I went to study in the United States, I was like the favorite student, high school, the favorite art student in high school of my teacher, Sister Kathleen Dolores. So one day she took me over to a show of lamb in Notre Dame University. Somehow there was a very important collector of lamb in Indiana. So they took me over, and who was there? Lamb himself. Lamb is a very interesting person, not only a painter, but also as a genetical combination, because we are like mestizo, and Lamb was a daughter of a mulatto woman and daughter of a Chinese man. So he had all the ingredients that somehow we do have in Latin America, Oriental, local, and white. He only wanted to speak to me because he never learned to speak English. And there was a certain point in his life, and he was living in France, he never learned to speak French either, and he almost forgot to speak Spanish. So it was great for him to talk to a nice young lady, 14 years old, that had this passion as I had. So art has been like my lifesaver. It's like my guide. It's something that I am very, very grateful to have had in my life. I say to people, I say to young artists when they're not so sure of themselves and they're not so sure sometimes of their choices, because I was not so sure of my choice either. I was 25 years old. I was in Valencia, Venezuela. I wanted to go to the Academy of Fine Arts in Rome, and that meant that I had to divorce, because my husband would have never gone to Rome. So that meant I had to get divorced, I had to be separated from my kids, and I had to follow my dreams. At that point, I was very uncertain of my choice. Now I am 75, and I look back at my life, and I see that what I really had was a destiny, and that I should have trusted my destiny, but it was such a different choice than what everybody else was doing, that nobody told me, Milagros, go ahead, you're doing the right stuff. Everybody told me, you're going to regret it, you're crazy, this is not the best thing that you can figure out for yourself, etc., etc. So at this point, I have my dream for Miami Biennale. I am very happy. I am very grateful that I chose what I chose. I am also very grateful to Tiki for inviting me. We have become also very close friends art-wise. As a matter of fact, Ella invited me to participate when she was just starting Miami Art Central. And then I brought over Rina Carvajal, and then Rina Carvajal became her director. And now Rina Carvajal is being director of the Miami MOAD, Miami Art and Design Museum. So she has done a wonderful job to make Freedom Tower into a museum. I am very touched today, especially because I went for the first time to see that show. And I have two pieces that I lent to her. I have a very beautiful lamp from 1947, Leda and Swan. It's not by chance that my best painting belongs to lamb. And I also have a Cardenas. In relation to collecting, I did not collect really from exclusively from galleries. I went into the atelier. I met the artists. I met the production. I went very deep into the. It was not just the fact that you choose a painting because you see it in a fair or because you see it in a gallery, which is nothing wrong with that. But it is like going into also the personality of the artist. Why is the artist expressing himself in that way? So what do I recommend? I recommend that people that are in art to trust it, because it's about the best choice you can make in life. And also when you do it, to really learn about the artists that produce the work, because the work is not independent from a human being. It is a product of a human being that somehow gets connected into the identity of the country and produces the work that we later enjoy and nurtures us. So thank you. I'm very pleased to be in this panel. I am very happy that we are all Venezuelan. I don't think you did it on purpose. I don't think it's exclusive either. I think that there are many wonderful ladies that are not Venezuelan that are here in Miami right now. But this is a nice way to start. So congratulations and thank you very much, Tiki.
Thank you. Solita Cohen, also a very dear friend, not as old as all of us. I think we met when she was a teenager, so don't worry about it, I'm not including you in our generation. But she's the daughter of very dear friends who were collectors, and that's I think that what made you become a great collector and philanthropist that you are. So Solita was born in Venezuela, and her background is actually law. She has a degree in law and in literature, and it's going to be interesting finding out how she makes the leap to becoming an art collector and philanthropist. From law, art, and philanthropy. Solita created a foundation dedicated to the arts as a non-profit foundation. She helps emerging artists, mainly South American, and promotes their art by associations with many museums and institutions. Solita sits on many museums. I'm amazed at how many she's associated with. She sits on many boards and committees dedicated to helping raise funds. But this is a different approach altogether. She helps raise funds for acquisitions, exhibitions, education, and promotion of art and artists. She's associated with the Fine Arts Museum in Houston, Texas, the Museo Reina Sofia in Madrid, Museum of Modern Art, MoMA, New York, Miami Art Museum de Paris, the Tate Modern in London, the Museo del Prado, Madrid, Museum of Contemporary Art of Montreal, Canada, Museo Jacobo Borges in Caracas, Venezuela. She was also on the board of CIFO, Miami, with Ella. So she has collaborated with art fairs like Pinta all over the world. Arco Madrid, Arte Bo in Bogotá, Pinta London, New York, and Miami, Art Basel, Miami. She has received 3 awards in Spain for patronage and philanthropy. Solita, please tell us about your journey, helping artists, collecting, supporting fairs and museums. Your first purchase, and what did you first begin? When did you first begin collecting?
Thank you, Tiki, for inviting me. Thank you, Ella and Milagros, for being here. And to all our friends and family, thank you for being here. And to Diego for organizing this conference. You already have said so much about me that I don't know what to say. But thank you. I began since I was a child, I think I loved art. I think I was very inspired, first of all, by my parents, that they were lovers and they love art. And I felt so much their appreciation for the arts that I think it hit me inside of me for the rest of my life. Then I studied law and literature, and then I got married. And with 4 kids, I didn't have time to work or to work in law or or in anything, so I began to collect art a little bit, here and there, and then at one point I said, that's it. I'm going to concentrate myself in what I like, in what I love the most, that it's Latin America, and I began, let's say, seriously. So I enrolled in museums in Venezuela with Adriana Meneses, that she's here today, thank you. And then little by little, I began to collect art that at that time was, an art not so appreciated like it is today. So then I left Venezuela, I went to Montreal, and there it began my enrollment in the art world. With you, Tiki, that I thank you very much. With the Montreal Museum, with Ella, that I thank you too, the years I've been in CIFO. So everything art experience to me. And then at one point I said, it's not only, I felt always I'm a little bit rebellious, and I say to myself, I cannot be only collecting. Now I have to give to the world. I have to give to the people, because I believe in art as a social field. It's not only about having, it's only about sharing with people. So I always thought that was the real meaning of collecting in me art. And I began a foundation in Colombia that served as a platform for the arts, meaning helping the curators, meaning helping the artists, the critics, everything that I thought I could help at that moment. Also taking students or artists abroad so they can see the world, and not only I feel that like the term Latin America is not negative. It's Latin America from the special characteristic that a zone has in the world. From the difference, we are big. We are big we can be big. Just as artistically important, looking at our difference with the world. That makes us different and big also. So then that's what I've been doing all my life. That's what I pretend to continue to do the rest of my life. Is my passion. And that's it.
How did you begin? What was your first painting that you bought, that you decided on buying?
I began to collect, when I got very serious, that I say now I'm going to collect Latin American art, I bought a Guillermo Cuitca. But before that, I began to buy whatever we could buy at that moment. A young couple.
How did you inform that? Because you liked it, or you asked somebody? Did you have a curator?
A collector from Costa Rica came and told me, you have to buy Cuitca. And at that time, when I saw the piece, I said, I don't understand what it's about. I didn't understood the real meaning, because it was a painting very special and very anti-painting. But I said to myself, no, it doesn't matter. I will understand it, and I bought it.
This is what's wonderful about collecting. All the different approaches, and what we've seen here today is how everybody has their own way of collecting. So I am going to let you ask the questions, because it's very interesting to listen how everybody has a different theory, a different way, and a different result. And it's all valid and it's all wonderful. And we're all of us here, we were talking about this before, how happy we are of being a part of this wonderful collecting.
And it's not a coincidence. It is a coincidence that we are all Venezuelan, like you told us, Milagros, but it shows how.
With a painting, somehow there is the essence of the artist that gets enclosed into the work, and for a strange reason you connect to that, and that connection has also to do with your identity, so you end up connecting to things that are related to your own identity, to your own story. And sometimes artists can tell your story better than you can do it yourself.
That's a perfect answer. Anybody else? No? Well, thank you again all for coming, and let's continue our first lovely fair. Congratulations to all of you for being here, and also for giving us the pleasure every year, maybe a few times a year, to have this wonderful Latin American art fair. Thank you.